But he's checked with Steve, and I think he's going to have me on. I think T-Wig every once in a while.
Cool.
Could be interesting. I'm interested to see how it does for him. He's got a really nice setup, nice studio and everything.
Surprised Gridiron doesn't go after now that they're free agents, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, this camera is connected to this one.
Oh.
So they both broadcast to YouTube, but you get the multi-view, so it kind of looks like, it looks like this.
Ah, wow.
So it looks
That's
cool.
me.
So then and the problem we had for a while is that we could only get like 2 of the co-hosts in. So the multi-camera using Switcher Studios helps a ton. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to get everybody in.
You must have an IQ of like 200 to figure all this stuff out.
It keeps me, honestly, it keeps me challenged.
Yeah.
It keeps me, because I
What's going on?
get tired of doing the same thing over and over again. So I like to experiment, try new stuff. All right, so it is.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes.
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
On 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Welcome into Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes. My name is Blythe Brumleve, and Donna and Lauren have the night off, so I'm joined alongside Hacker and Tyler. And we've been talking a lot about golf, and I kind of wanted to get into a different side of golf that maybe not a lot of people are aware about. But the LPGA is obviously the ladies' form of professional golf, and they launched recently what's called the LPGA Women's Network. And back in November, they asked me to come along and to help them create a different video series that helps women get more acquainted with the game of golf. So it sort of led me to wonder that, I know with a lot of women, there's sort of an intimidation factor with golf. Did that ever exist for you as far as getting out on the course?
For me, no. It didn't exist for me. Now, I know my wife actually worked as a head marketer of a golf course in South Georgia for about a year or two, and where she actually started playing a lot and really enjoying the game.
Nice.
She's just gotten away from it as she switched jobs. But she's got a brand new set of golf clubs, really wants to get back out there. So she liked it while she played, but it was part of her job to kind of play golf working at a golf course.
Especially if you're out there all the time, I'm sure it makes it easier to just play, even 9 holes of golf. My golf experience was sort of limited to waiting tables at TPC. We were able to get out there at some points and take lessons from the pro teachers, which was incredible amount of knowledge in order to get around those guys. But that was one of the big driving forces as far as this LPGA series. Is called Know Before You Go, just a simple etiquette things that you should probably know about before you ever even schedule your tee time at a golf course. Because I think a lot of people assume that if you schedule a tee time, you can show up 5 minutes before the tee time, and then you're good to go out there. And there's not, the sort of unwritten rules of playing fast, not playing too slowly on the course.
If people are in the fairway, don't get on the tee and try to hit them if they're moving too slow.
And I think a lot of those rules that you wouldn't necessarily know it unless somebody else was out there. So that was part of the goal with the video series. But one of the first things that they sort of hit home with me is that nobody is going to be good the minute you get out onto the course. You have to have fun with it, and don't get too frustrated, because it is about just getting out there and having fun. And I think where a lot of women have sort of a disadvantage when it comes to playing golf, or even just getting out there, is that a lot of their companies will have golf tournaments, or they'll have charity events, and they don't even think to enter because they just don't want to get embarrassed. But 90% of the guys that are going out there are in the same boat as them, the same boat as the women, because they don't know a lick about golf, and they couldn't play if they had 2 weeks of hardcore training in order to get prepared for it.
Well, my radio name, and really at this point it should be my real name, nobody calls me Ryan. The whole hacker thing, Blythe, is because my golf game was so terrible.
Really?
So I know all about embarrassing myself on a golf course, and to this day, now I don't get out and play as much as I used to, or as much as I would like. But yeah, if there's like 2 or 3 groups that are behind you and they're staring at you on the tee box, I hate that. I absolutely hate that.
It's intimidating.
It's one thing when your buddies, who are all smoking cigars and drinking beer, are watching you tee off, But when you have 6, 9, 12 strangers watching you, you're trying not to embarrass yourself. So I don't want any woman to think they're going to go out there and embarrass themselves, because it doesn't get any worse for a guy than hitting it 80 yards directly into the woods. But then all I do is pop open another cold one and just do it again.
Exactly. Or play best ball, or there's
it's not a big deal.
Hey, what about you, Tyler? Do you ever find yourself wanting to get involved more with the sport of golf? I know you said earlier that you never really play.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those sports you have to dip your toe into the pool before, because you're obviously going to be terrible when you first start. Everyone knows that. But it's the embarrassing stage you have to get over, and everyone's going to embarrass themselves and be super frustrated, and it's sticking with it. Because I've played 3-hole courses and maybe like 2 or 3 times, 9 holes, but I've always given up because I've been so bad, and you just got to stick with it. And probably for me, I'd probably want to get some lessons, because the people that were teaching me weren't very good or making me any better. So that's the key, is just sticking with it.
And that's a good point too, because one of the LPGA professionals that was out there, then she was helping me as far as the awareness of things that you should know before you go. And she said that what you want to do is you want to take lessons first,
because you can get a quick tip in 5 minutes and your swing be instantly better, and it will completely change your mindset of the entire game. Because once you start hitting the ball, like you guys have been at driving ranges, once you start killing the ball and you're feeling good and you're grooving and you're like in the zone, so to say, you want to keep hitting it. You don't want to leave that part of the mat, so to say, or even the range entirely. You want to stay there as long as you can, because you're in the zone. And
you're not picking up bad habits. I think that with a lot of instructors, they say that the self-taught people are almost the worst to teach. They want to teach the people who have never been out there, because then they're not developing these bad habits over courses of years, where it takes a long time to break those bad habits. If you start fresh with an instructor, even hitting the driving range, or even a place like Topgolf, those are all really great locations in order to get familiar with the game before you actually go out and play 18 holes.
I think driving ranges are very valuable. I really have a good time. You mentioned a place like Topgolf as well, same thing. And the thing about golf is this: you can go out there and you can have 120 just awful shots. You dead hook it into the woods, miss a 3-foot putt. Worst stuff can happen. It just takes one.
Right.
It just takes one 175, 180-yard, beautiful down the middle shot that'll get you to come back. and after you get one, maybe the next time you have 3 of those in a round, and then 5 of those, and you say, well, I can do this without any training, without any lessons. What can I do if I get lessons? And you get lessons, and you go back out there, and it's to the point where I know friends that have a weekly tee time, and it's their time they have with their buddies. They have a weekly tee time every Saturday morning. They get together. I think it's like 7:48 a.m. and it's 4 guys that talk about their week, and they don't see each other the rest of the week. It's their 5 hours
as well, right? Get away from the wives.
Well, yeah, there's no wives or girlfriends.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Well, the women could do that too if they're trying to get away from their husbands or significant others. Plan a girls' day.
There's no question.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to get away from golf, and we're going to get into some Jaguars coverage. Last week, the Jaguars decided not to exercise the 5th-year option on defensive end Dante Fowler Jr. What do you guys think ultimately happens to Dante?
I don't think Dante is going to be here starting in 2019, and I understand it to an extent. Look, if they were going to franchise him, it was going to cost him $14 million this year. I hope that Dante Fowler goes out there, has 12, 14 sacks, and there's a conversation to be had about giving him a long-term deal or even potentially putting the franchise tag on him. The interesting thing, and I brought this up last week, Blythe, with Dante Fowler, everybody talks about Calais Campbell and Ngakoue and Boye and Ramsey, and with good reason. Those guys, Malik Jackson as well, they were phenomenal last year. Dante Fowler had 8 sacks. They were about the quietest 8 sacks on the team. Ngakoue had 11.5, and people think he's the MVP of the defense.
Well, you know why? Because all the sacks aren't created equal, and a lot of the times Yannick was just beating his guy off the ball.
And that's fine. And maybe I'm too much of a numbers guy, Tyler. Maybe that's the fantasy football geek in me. At the end of the day, regardless of how they happened, Yannick Ngakoue had 11.5 sacks. Dante Fowler had 8 sacks. And in the minds of the Jaguar fans, it's a night and day scenario between those two defensive ends.
Because with Dante in particular, after his, I guess sort of scuffle in the offseason, last year's offseason, where he's throwing a liquor bottle in a lake and smashing somebody's glasses, I immediately thought, just cut him. He's not worth it. He got injured his first year. He's been trouble ever since. He's been underwhelming at best. And during the season, I started coming full circle with him, and I really started to enjoy watching him play. He was almost like an animal on the field. It was just getting after the court and attacking.
And he stopped making stupid penalties, too.
Yes.
Remember his rookie year 2, he kept knocking people out of bounds 5 yards late, personal foul here, personal foul there. I think Doug Marrone and Tom Coughlin really have helped Dante Fowler's growth.
Do you think that if he's not here, or if he is here in 2019, who's sort of the odd man out?
Well, that's the question, because keep in mind, Yannick Ngakoue, Miles Jack, and Jalen Ramsey are all coming up for contracts. Are you going to be able to pay everybody?
Sure won't.
You weren't able to pay Aaron Colvin. Now whether he wanted to really be here or not, the bottom line is the Texans outbid the Jaguars for him. So are you going to have to let Fowler go as a way to be able to ensure you keep all three guys, Ngakoue, Ramsey, and Jack? And the interesting thing, too, about Fowler, based on that draft, the 15 draft, Dante was your first-round pick, TJ Yeldon was your second-round pick, and A.J. Cann was your third-round pick. Could all three guys, your first, second, and third-round guys from the 15 draft, no longer be on the team in 2019? I think that absolutely is a viable situation.
It's sort of just the modern day NFL. You can't really get attached. I think fans, and I'm guilty of this as well, that fans get attached to these names and they think that you can keep everybody, but you can't. It's sort of the rich get richer with this team, and especially with their drafting strategy that they just had recently. It's something that the team is setting. It's almost like a weird position to be in, that the Jaguars are setting themselves up for success, and not just now, but in the near future when they have to go and pay these guys like Jalen.
Oh, I think that's what Taven Bryan was about, and DJ Chark and Ronnie Harrison. You're drafting for the future, not necessarily for 2018. And Blythe, I'll make this point about Fowler. You look at this defense, in particular the defensive line is constructed. Defensive line's fantastic. Maybe the best defensive line in football. But if you look at guys like Campbell and Jackson and Marcel Darius and Taven Bryan, Avery Jones, going down the line, a lot of big physical men that, they could play outside, but primarily they're interior guys. Your only real edge guys right now are Ngakoue, Fowler, maybe DeJuan Smoot. But the Jaguars have it. If Fowler were to go down with an injury or Ngakoue were to go down with an injury, I think there's a real issue about the speed pass rush for this Jaguar defense. So I think Dante Fowler is much more important to this defense in 2018 than a lot of Jaguar fans probably believe he is.
From a depth perspective, do you think that that's the most volatile position group on the Jaguars?
The defense has issues with depth all over the place. I still say linebacker because I still don't know who your three starting linebackers are. We know Telvin's great. We know Miles Jack is great. Is Blair Brown your starting linebacker?
Right.
Or is Leon Jacobs, the rookie out of Wisconsin, your starting linebacker? Granted, they're probably only going to play 25-30% of the snaps at the strong side position, replacing Posluszny, but still, there is one starter on your defense that you really don't know who it's going to be. But after the linebacker, Blythe, I think defensive end, the pass rush guy, I think there's an issue there with only having really Ngakoue and Fowler.
Moving on to another part of the football field, not necessarily players, but with the NFL and their tradition of cheerleaders. There was a report that came out last week that in 2013, the Washington Redskins cheerleaders traveled to Costa Rica for a photo shoot, and upon arrival, their passports were taken from them, and then they were required to go topless for a photo shoot in front of male sponsors, and several of them were required to be personal escorts at the club and in court, bars, clubs, later on that night. This has sort of been an ongoing story that we've talked about here on Helmets and Heels with the treatment of cheerleaders and if they should I don't want to say finally get rid of cheerleaders, but do you think outside of, I guess, maybe the obvious from a male point of view, do you think that the cheerleaders serve any kind of real purpose that they should keep on the team itself?
Look, Do they serve a real purpose? Sure. I mean, the roar of the Jaguars has been around forever. I remember going to, it was then Alltel Stadium back in the day, and the guy would come on, the public address announcer, and say, "And now, please welcome the roar of the Jaguars." And as a little kid, I'd get fired up. It's like the game day experience. So, yeah, I think certainly. And what I love, one of my favorite events of the year down there, now at TIAA Bank Field, is when the junior roar. And those little girls come out there, and just the smiles on their faces and how excited they are to be on the field in their little Jaguar cheerleading uniforms. To me, that's awesome. So, absolutely, there is a purpose. I thought the 2013 story about the Redskins cheerleaders was disgusting. Again, it's...
Is it shocking that that kind of stuff goes on?
No.
Because it wasn't that shocking to me.
No, I think in today's society, the word shocking, it needs to be really out there, whether you're talking in a sports sense or whatever. So I'm very rarely shocked by anything anymore. But no, I did think that was a pretty disgusting story.
And what I found is I was doing a little bit of research, and I found that this other woman who is actually the wife of a radio host that I really enjoy, her name's Laura Travis, and she used to be a cheerleader for the Titans, and she was talking about how she thoroughly enjoyed being a cheerleader for the team. And it wasn't just, it was, all the discrepancy, I guess, in pay and in health benefits and all that good stuff that I think that cheerleaders should be awarded. She says that all of these cheerleaders know what they're getting into before they ever sign up for it. So for these other women to sort of say that cheerleading is outdated and that we shouldn't have it anymore in the NFL, she's saying that this is my choice to be one. And what kind of feminist are you if you're going to take away that choice when I know all of these circumstances from the get-go, and I'm still serving as a member of this community as far as community services is concerned, and I am helping be that liaison between the team and the players, and that a lot of the times the kids are the most excited to meet the cheerleaders rather than players.
Well, and I know you know this, but you do a lot of events, we do a lot of events. The Jaguar cheerleaders, the Roar, it's not just a Sunday job. It's not just 10 times a year. They go out to sponsor parties. They go out to birthday events. I mean, the Jaguar cheerleaders work a lot as far as public appearances. So you know what you signed up for, and it's a lot of work, a lot of days, a lot of hard days of work put in by these girls. And if they like it, if they know what they're getting into, more power to them.
I definitely think that's...
What's the pay discrepancy? Like, what are they asking for?
It's not necessarily that they're asking for pay. It's that a lot of them are asking for just equal representation as far as, being recognized as a real employee. Because right now they're all considered independent contractors. Right. So they don't get access to health benefits. A lot of them do only get paid, $50-$60 a game. But like other cheerleaders have said, it is explicitly told to you before you ever even try out.
So I don't feel bad for
if you sign up for it,
if you're agreeing to do a job for a dollar amount and you continue to do the job, I mean, I don't feel bad for you.
Exactly. And Laura Travis, she even made another point that there's another rule that I thought was absolutely ridiculous, but hearing her perspective, it really sort of shined a light on it, that a lot of these cheerleaders, they're required to leave if they're at an establishment that other players show up, because there's the no fraternizing rule. But she said if the team runs into any issues between a cheerleader and $1 million athlete, obviously their revenue is more tied up with $1 million athlete than a cheerleader who's earning $60 a game. So if it's your job and it's in your contract to leave, then you have to be the one to leave, because 9 times out of 10, people are going to recognize at a restaurant or a bar, people are going to recognize a player versus a cheerleader.
And I had a friend of mine, his wife was actually a member of the Roar going back 3 or 4 years ago. I was just stunned at the amount of girls that try out.
Right.
I mean, they have to cut down numerous times to get to the number they're looking for. It is a big deal with the amount of women in our community that do try out to be on the Roar.
And that's a good point, too, because she mentioned other points in this article that with all of the thousands of girls that try out for every single NFL team, there's only been a handful of them that have come, and I say only, there shouldn't be any, but there's only been a few of them that have come forward and said that they were mistreated.
And I think there's like a max term you could serve. Like you can do 4 years as a Jaguars cheerleader.
Yeah, that's right.
And they cycle them out, so it's not like you get 12 new girls every year. You might only get 3.
Right.
2, Some years 1. So it's kind of a prestigious job, but yeah, the pay not be very, very great, but if you want to do something in dancing, professionally, whether it be Cirque du Soleil or something advanced in your career, having an NFL cheerleading job in your resume is the top thing you can have. I'm not going to pretend to know, like, I know the dancing industry here, but I couldn't imagine that having a cheerleading job, professional sports team, that's got to be great.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more. All right, we're a little bit late coming into the break for this one, but when we come back, we're going to get a little bit of dose of Daily's Place, and then we're going to talk about our favorite celebrity athlete combo and why. This is Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Hey, this is former Jaguar Paul Sweat. Hi, I'm Mark Brunell.
Hey man, we just had a commercial break. We got about 4 minutes to come right to you, okay? Thank you so much. Amanda's already on hold.
Oh, nice.
Do you want to handle this one by yourself, or you want me to do it as well?
No, you can help because these.
And her name's
always,
Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda Holt. So what we normally, or what we have done the past few weeks, is that we'll talk about, we'll set her up as far as, concerts that are coming up, and then we'll get into a little bit of Jaguars.
Okay, and she's in charge of marketing for Daily's Place, or?
What is her official title, Tyler? Do you know?
I think Director of Marketing.
Director of Marketing.
Okay. Rascal Flats, nice.
Going to the Post Malone show
on
Thursday. Pretty pumped about that.
3 Doors Down. Is it bad that I don't know who Post Malone is? I know who Karl Malone
you probably
is.
heard some of his songs. Do you listen to the radio music or?
Very little. I'm bad with names. Once I hear like a song, I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Director of Communications.
Director of Communications, okay.
It's freaking me out watching this on YouTube here. Subway's getting some free advertising because of me.
Nice. Wow, that's me. Hello, welcome in YouTube. Sort of not a new format, but for new.
Alright. I'll be doing the same thing tomorrow night, too.
Alright, gang, whoever said it's the thought that counts never sent the wrong gift on Mother's Day, because the thought is nice, but you gotta execute the plan, and there's no better way to execute it than a gift.
I'm kind of a big deal. Great. I didn't think that I didn't know what the hat I was wearing.
If you guys have been watching the stream the whole night, we had a little bit of difficulties. I don't know what the hell happened. But apparently what happens is that my streaming device will go out in the middle of a broadcast, so I can't restart a live stream. I just have to start a new one. So that's what happened in this case. After the show is over, I'll go back in and I'll relabel them, show title wise and all that. Not that you guys care, but I'll go back in there and relabel them so that way it's a clear first part and a clear second part. So thank you guys for bearing with me. It's just one of the joys of modern technology.
What if we told you there's a quick, easy way to get rid of the daily hassles of contacts and glasses? And even better, what if it could cost as little as $250? Well, it's all true. All thanks to LASIK Plus. Now, for a limited time only, LASIK Plus can help fix your vision for only $250 per eye. With over 1.5 million procedures performed, LASIK Plus will recommend the best treatment for your nearsightedness, farsightedness, or astigmatism for our lowest price ever, $250. Check out our reviews online and see for yourself what real patients.
So now, will this be on YouTube all week?
No, it's permanent.
Oh, it does? It's permanent.
So, and that's what I like about it too, because even like from the SEO perspective, like when we talked about Jaguar's new uniforms rumors, we did that show a couple months ago. So whenever the Jaguar's new uniforms debuted, that video got significantly more views because people were searching for it, and it popped up in the search engine results.
So this is the players preview and should the NFL ditch cheerleaders. That's what I would search for?
That's if you were, say, searching for the players, or if you were searching for NFL cheerleaders. That's what would pop up, ideally.
Steely Dan, they play May 13th.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes.
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
On 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Welcome into Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes. My name is Blythe Brimley, and I'm joined alongside tonight with Hacker and Tyler. Lauren and Donna have the night off, and we're going to get into a little bit of Dose of Daly's Place with Jaguars head of communications, Amanda Holt. And Amanda, there's a whole bunch of shows coming up soon. Give us a little bit of a breakdown on the big ones coming up.
Oh, hey guys, how are you guys doing? Thanks for having me. Literally, the calendar at Daly's Place is super packed, especially the next week or so. So tomorrow, not tomorrow, but the next day, the first night of the Players, we're celebrating with Post Malone.
Yes.
That show is sold out. It's been sold out for a while. You may find a single here and there, but it's super popular. And then as soon as we finish with that, we're celebrating Mother's Day on Sunday with Steely Dan. So there's still limited tickets available for that, but it's been a great way. A lot of people in our office are actually taking their mom for the celebration and to be with their mom during Mother's Day. And then we turn around and completely change gears, and on Wednesday we host Odessa. So that's a huge EDM act for those of you who aren't familiar with them. Their tour is getting rave reviews all across the country just for what the stage show, and it's a total spectacle from what I understand. So it should be a pretty good show right off the bat.
You know, Amanda, when you look at Daly's Place and just the acts that are coming really within the next, month, 2 months, I mean, you go 3 doors down, you go Rascal Flatts, 30 Seconds to Mars, on down the line. It is amazing the quality, and not to say that all these bands aren't quality, but you've got some heavy hitters coming in from now until the rest of the summer.
You're totally right, and it's been cool for us just from as the venue has opened. We had, we kind of got our first year underneath us, and so this is our sort of second year. We got all the kinks out, we're ready to go, and it's been exciting to see that the standard of talent that's coming through that wants to play at Daly's Place, that wants to be a part of it, it remains the same just as it was our inaugural year. So we're trying to really build content that has something for everybody. So whether you're a country fan, this Odessa is our first EDM act to come to Daly's Place. So we're trying to keep it fresh, keep it new, keep it something that everyone's going to be interested in. But I can tell you, and it's been fun to sort of watch as new artists come through and experience Daly's Place and see what a cool venue it is, and the fact that they're connected to an NFL stadium. The artists love that too. They love that sort of creative environment. It's different from anywhere else they've been. They get to, go in every once in a while. They'll get to work out in the, Dreamfinders Home Flex field and try it out during the day. And so it's been cool to see and watch it evolve. So, but with so much coming up, especially you mentioned, we got 3 doors down. We've got 30 Seconds to Mars. We've got Tedeschi Trucks, everyone's favorite season ticket members and Jaguars fans are coming back. They're launching a new album and a brand new tour, so they'll be here in late June. So a little something for everybody. So
how should concert goers sort of prepare? Because I've been to a few shows at Daly's Place, but I haven't been to a sold out show yet until this Thursday with Post Malone. Is there anything that I should know as far as getting to Daly's Place early? What time did the gates open? Any kind of good tidbits that you can offer?
Yeah, so if you're coming this Thursday, so the show, every show is different, but for this Thursday, gates open around 6:30, and the show, I think, doesn't kick off until around 7:30 or so. But you want to be able to, give yourself time to get downtown. Parking is included with every ticket to Daly's Place, so when you arrive, most people will be parking in Lot J, which is on the west side of the stadium. So they just have to show up and show their ticket to, which is usually a mobile ticket, to the parking attendants, and they can pull right in. So parking's simple and easy. Anything that you wouldn't bring into the stadium for a game day, you should not bring into Daly's Place. It's very similar rules and things in terms of prohibited items. But other than that, just plan to show up early. There's a couple opening acts before we get to the main headline, and it's a good time. There's plenty of food and drink. The video board's on, so it's a great chance to head down to the cooler, take a selfie, see the field before it gets painted, and before the season kicks off. So it's cool to be sort of in that environment all at one time.
Nice tips.
Amanda Holt here with us, Director of Communications for the Jacksonville Jaguars, talking about Daly's Place. And Amanda, obviously the concerts are great, and we've been talking about those. The summer months are coming up, and that means summer camps there at Daly's Place at the Flex Field. What can you tell us about the Jaguars summer camps coming up here in July?
Yeah, so this is probably the mom alert of the segment. The Flex Field, as you know, Daly's Place encompasses both the amphitheater and the Dreamfinders Home Flex Field. So it's a great facility that when Sean built it, really was built not just for being a practice facility for our team, a chance for them to escape the summer heat, but also as a place where community events and things for other people of all ages to really enjoy. You saw that 2 weeks ago with our draft party, where we opened up all the doors, and then this summer, the Jaguars Foundation will actually be hosting youth camps for kids between the ages of 9 and 13. They're a couple of days long each. They're the week after the 4th of July. So in a few weeks, maybe in the next week or two, we'll be launching online registration. It's a great chance for kids to come out, learn the fundamentals of the game, learn how to be safe, when, performing, playing football and getting out there with your friends. It's also a chance to interact with some of our coaches and our players who are going to be able to teach the fundamentals of the game and get kids involved in the game at an early age.
Great insight and tips. This is Amanda Holt, and she's with us talking about Daly's Place. Amanda, I guess we will talk with either you or somebody else on the show next week to talk about more concerts and more Jaguars news. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Thanks to you guys, and enjoy the players this week.
Thank you.
See you at the concert Thursday.
And that was Amanda Holt, Director of Communications with the Jaguars, talking about the upcoming Dose of Daly's Place as far as concerts are concerned and different events going on at Everbank Field. But I wanted to move on to the next topic and talk a little bit about your favorite celebrity-athlete combination. And this was sort of a wild card question that I threw out to the group on our email chains that we have before every show. And I got to thinking about this because of the whole Drake LeBron thing that happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know or sort of don't follow along with some of the pop culture, Rihanna and Drake, years ago, they've had a flirty relationship, even dated briefly from a time or two. But Rihanna came out in an article, an interview, and she basically said that she never really had feelings for Drake. And on this very same day, but the person who she does have clear feelings for is LeBron James, which I think a lot of women out there do have. But on that very same day that this interview drops, Drake is sitting courtside for the Raptors, and LeBron, I think, drops 47?
It was about 40, yeah.
Yeah, so he crushed his playoff hopes.
And not only that, Drake was trying to mouth off to other people on the Cleveland Cavalier bench, including Kendrick Perkins. Got into a little scuffle, if you will. Security had to come. It was not a good look for Drake, and obviously the Raptors have since been eliminated as of last night.
Drake's so ridiculous. He's calling Kendrick Perkins, who's 6'11", 270, a bleeping bleep. I mean, you could feel.
Well, you know why he did that? Because he had 4 security guards around him. He would not have done that if those 4 security guards would not have been there.
But does it? If you're a guy like Drake, you probably have those security guys around you all the time.
Well, I suppose, yeah. He would need them because Kendrick Perkins is not a small guy.
He travels with armed security. I mean, come on.
You do see that at courtside of NBA games a lot. You mentioned Drake Blythe and his problem with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Earlier in the playoffs, we saw Kevin Hart in Philadelphia get into it with Dwayne Wade a little bit. To the point where it made Dwayne Wade mad. Dwayne Wade went for like 30, and Miami, that was the one game they beat Philadelphia in the series. And then the classic one is 24 years ago now, Reggie Miller and Spike Lee. Spike Lee just mouthing off to Reggie Miller, the Knicks are killing the Pacers at the Garden, and somewhere along the line, Reggie Miller in that game got pissed and started just drilling threes and kept staring at Spike Lee. To the point where when Miller gave the Pacers the lead in the fourth quarter, he gave Spike Lee the choke sign.
Right, yes.
And everybody in New York blamed poor Spike Lee for that loss and not the Knicks organization.
I mean, it is kind of your fault. And I think it was James Harden a few years ago with Kevin Hart that Kevin Hart was giving him crap on sitting courtside, and James Harden ended up scoring like 40 or 50 points that night, and he went up to Kevin Hart after the game was over, and he's like, tell your fans you did that to them.
Yeah, it's amazing the motivation a celebrity running his mouth can provide these millionaire professional athletes.
If you're a celebrity sitting courtside, are you talking trash or are you staying quiet?
I'm probably talking trash.
I'm talking so much
I gotta
trash.
be honest. If I have money and I'm a celebrity and I'm famous and I can get on TV and any publicity is good publicity, absolutely. I'm probably telling them about everything.
Yes.
I gotta be honest. You get a beer and me, I will be the heckler in the crowd. I'll sit courtside at him. I used to go to Pacers games when I went to college in Indianapolis my freshman year, and I bought tickets in like the nosebleeds for like 50 cents. And you could go down at halftime, the security didn't care, and I would just heckle the Raptors or the Atlanta Hawks, and you could say whatever you want. You gotta draw a line somewhere, of course, because it'll go on TV or there are kids nearby, but I'll be the heckler. I'm not afraid to admit it.
You know, we have seen problems, though, not so much with celebrities, although they had the Drake issue, but in Utah, they've had to kick fans out of the arena for mouthing off to, one of them was obviously Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
And then there was also an issue with Chris Paul of the Houston Rockets in Utah a couple of games ago. And you don't want to cross a line. If you're a fan, look, give the player the business, tell them about this, that, and the other, that's fine. keep the vulgarities out of it, keep the family insults out of it, be respectable as a fan. Yeah, give the players some grief.
Toe that line.
Keep it within reason.
You gotta toe that line when it comes to insults, because I say this, but I've kind of thought for years that the Jaguars should take the club seats behind the away team benches and just make them like $10 seats and sell dollar beers just for that section only, just so you can have that kind of advantage. But
put the brigade back there.
Right, but if it's going to have that kind of negative impact, I don't know if that's such a good idea anymore.
Yeah, well, you see that in colleges, the Cameron Crazies at Cameron Indoor at Duke, the Rowdy Reptiles at Florida. I've sat with the Rowdy Reptiles at the O'Connell Center. They do not keep it PG all the time. Maybe it's more accepted in a college environment as opposed to a professional environment. But you never want to talk about somebody's family. You never want to talk about somebody's kids or wife or this, that, or the other. That's taking it a little too far.
All right, well, we are going to head to commercial right now, but when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Mother's Day, and we're going to talk about some different stuff going on around town. If you still need to get a present for Mom, which if you're listening to this, you probably still do. So when we come back, we'll talk about all of that stuff. This is Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes on 92.5 FM and 1010XL.
Visit the Preserve at Ponte Vedra Lakes during TBC and register for a chance to win $500. Today through Sunday, May 13th, you could win $500 by visiting the Preserve at Ponte Vedra Lakes by Dreamfinders Homes just around the corner from TBC Sawgrass. Come by, cool off, and tour this beautiful home by Dreamfinders Homes. Visit the Preserve at Ponte Vedra Lakes during new homes from the high 300s, located just off Marsh Cove Drive.
Listen for 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates from the players. Brought to you by Edwin Watts Golf.
Tyler, are you going out to the players?
I'll probably go there Thursday and Friday.
Yeah. For fun or for work?
I'm not going Sunday. Saturday I have to work it. Thursday and Friday I'll probably go out there.
What are you doing for work? It's like the break stuff that Tony does? Yeah.
2:30 till 7.
I think this is going to be the first year I don't go to the media center at all. I'm only going to go out there Friday, I think, but I'm going for fun.
Unless you're going to go like eat for free while you're there. That's really the only reason if you're not working.
You know, I'd rather eat on the course because they have so much good food.
Right.
I want to go back to that barbecue place.
Well, you get free food in the media center.
It's usually pretty good, too. When I was a waitress there, they used to serve us free food for lunch every day, too.
Nice.
They would have like a little buffet area, and you could just go and pick whatever you wanted.
Where was this?
At TPC.
Oh, yeah.
Because even I know they serve media members out there, but they served every single shift, waitressing wise. They served us too.
Really? That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Even in non-tournament days. And if you're a waitress, or even any employee, really, you got full health benefits.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Which is huge, being from a service industry standpoint.
Were you talking about the thing of champions? Is that outside or inside? At the players?
Tunnel championships. That's underground.
Okay, because what I love is coming from the parking lot off of Palm Valley Road, and you pass by like all the champions.
Oh, the banners.
I love that.
Yeah,
because they pipe in
too.
the stuff out there too, and it's a hell of a walk.
I've made that walk.
Yeah, you're walking pretty far. It's even worse on the way out, actually, than on the way in.
Oh, goodness. When I worked at Void, we got a little rowdy, and we were trying to take the media shuttle back to... This was before they got super strict as far as, like, the media shuttles were concerned.
Yeah.
And one of the girls I had with me, she was belligerent, and she yelled at the driver. And he made us all get off. All of the Void crew. He made us all get off and walk.
Oh, was that back when I was in the parking garage?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had to walk from the front gates, that the greenery. You know how you come in on I turn into Sawgrass, and then you take a left and to drive in like the main road, go past the corporate headquarters, all that good stuff. That's where we essentially got dropped off.
Wow. And you had to walk to Hussers.
We had to walk all the way over there.
Jeez.
And I walked like 10 feet in front of her because I was so mad. I was like, I'm supposed to be a professional.
Yeah. I wonder, I guess they're still doing parking. They did parking last year, but I was not a fan of
No?
it.
I liked it.
I'm just so used to the garage.
Yeah.
It was just easy, and the only problem was getting out of there.
The shuttles were, I think that it was the big problem for the shuttles.
Oh, yeah.
But I liked it. It was so much easier for me.
Well, I just can't believe they let all those cars park on that course.
Yeah, it ruins the course.
Destroy the course, right? Yeah.
I guess they pay them enough money.
I guess. Is that what they're doing again
Resod
this
it
year?
afterwards. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where they have it this year. I don't know how I'm gonna. I guess I need to pick up my credentials here too. Shoot.
Well, I got my pass. I don't have a parking pass, but I can
I
get
don't have a
one.
parking pass either. But I guess I don't really need. No, but I want them.
Yeah.
As far as that's concerned, I just like keeping them as far as mementos.
Yeah. So in the minds of golf fans, that's awesome. I'm lucky I'm not on YouTube. I'd just be watching the whole show.
I think it's fun.
I need to start doing that.
It's what I use is Switcher Studios, and so that allows you to have the multiple camera angles. It links like this phone. Anything that's on the same Wi-Fi, I can link directly into the phone. I could potentially link up my computer and show my desktop, but for some reason the software doesn't work that good on a Mac, and it makes my computer run super hot, so I don't like doing it. But I was able to show videos and stuff during breaks. That was the ultimate goal, was to be able to show something during the breaks.
That's what Terry's doing. Norvell, the guy I'm doing the show with tomorrow, he's like hitting. Now, he doesn't have anybody doing it. He's doing it on his own, which you can kind of see what he's doing. But he'll hit a button, give you a different camera angle. He'll go over here now, and then he'll hit a button, it'll bring it back full circle, and hit another button. So it's like it's pretty cool.
Well, I could show you if bear with us, YouTube, but it's kind of the same setup. So like right now, I put up like the bottom portion of it to tell people that we're on commercial break.
Okay.
If I scroll, I can put like different images in there, different camera angles depending on if we have a guest on.
She's teaching me YouTube. I'm getting the information here. We got to do a Hacker After Dark YouTube deal. Blythe's going to set up for us, and we're going to talk Disney as well.
Yes!
The Disney podcast with Blythe and Hacker coming soon.
I would love it, especially now that I'm annual pass holder.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got the walleye sticker out there, and I got the pass. They give you the annual pass holders the magnet.
I did. I have my second magnet now because I went to the flower festival or whatever.
Did you get Mickey, a green?
Yeah, I got Mickey.
Okay.
No, I got Minnie green.
Mini purple.
Minnie.
I think
it's green.
Is it green?
Yeah.
'Cause I got Minnie out there, which I think looks weird on my car.
And I think that they have Mickey coming out soon?
They had Mickey earlier. I got Minnie.
Oh,
this past
okay.
Saturday.
Then maybe that's what it is. I'm pretty sure I have Mickey.
Yeah.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes,
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes. My name is Blythe. I'm joined alongside Hacker and Tyler on tonight's show. And we talked a lot about golf, we talked a lot about football, and now we're going to get into a little bit of something I'm sure that's near and dear to all of us, and that's Mom, with Mother's Day coming up this Sunday. We have a few stories I guess we could share as far as inspirational is concerned, and then we're going to talk about as far as moms in our sports career, because I think that mom, it doesn't get said enough how much mothers play a role in our sports career. So how did your mom play a large factor in you getting into sports broadcasting?
Yeah, she really did. I mean, you want to talk about a mama's boy? There is a special place in my heart for my mother. Now, she was a single mom. My dad passed away when I was a very young kid, so my mom kind of had to raised me and my much older brother. He's about 9 years older than me, so he left the house to go into the military, so it was me and my mom for about 3 or 4 years before my stepdad came into the picture. So me and my mom are like this, man. I mean, you want to talk about your best friend and all that? I gladly admit I'm a mama's boy, have no problem admitting that whatsoever. But she always took me to t-ball, always took me to soccer, flag football, really got me into sports, because she had to kind of assume the dad role as well, because my dad had passed away. So my dad loves sports. I think I am a sports fan because of my father, because I still watched sports with him when I was younger. But as far as getting into sports radio, sports broadcasting, I told her I loved it. I told her, I listened to it all the time. And she said, well, just do what you want to do. If that's what you want to do, then pursue that. And here we are. So, yeah, I think my mom did absolutely play a role into the sports broadcasting path.
See, for me, my mom didn't really. She's not the biggest sports fan, but she does learn, and she the only way she learns is by my brother and my dad and I talking, and it's usually well, until this past year, it's been like a complaint fest after the Jaguar games are over, because we all meet at my parents' house in order to ride to the games together and ride back together. So it's usually our venting fest after the game is over, and so she'll pick up on different things here and there, especially throughout the season. But she always played a huge role as far as just taking me to my different sporting events. So between softball and with swimming, she was there at every single sporting event. She was even the scorekeeper for my brother's baseball games, my softball games. So she would be the one that actually, I think it's sort of a lost art, the scorekeeping aspect of, keeping tabs on, who's on first base, who's on second, how many outs there are, that sort of old school baseball sheet. I don't even really know what it's called.
There's still people that do it. I'm not really sure the technical name of it, but I see a lot of older people doing it. It's kind of what they do, particularly at spring training. You see it all the time.
I think it's a lost art. I'm sure there's apps that are out there that could probably do that for you. But she was always the one that was doing that for our team. She was the team mom. And then there was a time.
Team mom where she'd bring the snacks, the Capri
Oh yeah.
Suns.
Well, she'd do that, but then she was also, there was a time that there was a local baseball park, Arlington East Athletic Association, shout out to AEAA, that was right beside my parents' house growing up. And my dad, for a period of time, for probably 5-6 years, he was the president of the ballpark, and my mom ran the concession stand. So that was essentially my part-time job, even though I didn't get paid for it except for an Adventure Landing tickets. But other than that,
that could be fun.
It was definitely, I signed up for it right away.
Yeah.
But that was something that she did, and she helped that concession stand helped the park overall earn a lot of money by the way that she ran it. So that's how her role as far as sports is concerned was a pretty big one.
Well, my mom was always a good listener in that, like your mom, she wasn't the biggest sports fan, but I wanted to vent about the Gators losing, 15 years ago, or the Jaguars losing, I remember, I'll never forget, I was 12 years old, and the Orlando Magic lost the NBA Finals to the Houston Rockets in 1995, and I had to tell somebody. So I go down to my mom, and Nick Anderson missed the free throws, and Shaq couldn't stop Olajuwon. Missed four. Missed 4 free throws. And Shaq couldn't stop Olajuwon. I'm telling my mom all this, and she's just nodding her head. I'm sorry, sweetie, this, that, and the other, kind of consoling me through the process. And she's, quite frankly, she still does it to this day. If I'm upset over a sporting event, I'll just go talk to her, and she kind of gets me through it.
Yeah, she does still the same for my dad, because Louisville Cardinals, it's been a rough couple years between football and basketball. Tyler, what about you? How does your mom play a role in your sports career?
Mom's always the #1 fan when you think you suck, or especially playing baseball, and if you play golf, we're talking about golf all throughout the first hour of the show here, but she always believes in you more so than you've ever believed in yourself. She thinks you're capable of things you're not capable of, but that's what moms are there for, to be your support and your so-called rock when you're down on yourself. There's so many times where I went 0 for 3, 0 for 4 with 3 or 4 strikeouts, and I'm like, I can't even hit the ball, I can't even put it in play, and she's like, oh no, honey, you can do it, and, just believes in me when I don't believe in myself, my teammates don't believe in me, but there's just always the one person you can count on. When things suck, your mom's going to tell you you can do it.
So do you guys have gifts already for Mom for Mother's Day?
My mom, your mom is probably like this. She's always the, I don't need anything, or I don't want anything. Yeah, sure it is. Now, whether it's a gift card or whatnot, what I've found that my mom really enjoys is just spending time with me and my wife.
Yes.
And I actually think my brother is going to come over from Tallahassee. Nice. So we're going to take Mom out to lunch and just kind of spend the day with her. I think that, for my mother, a lunch and a couple hours with your sons is better than any physical item I could buy her.
Definitely.
Could I get her some perfume? Perhaps. There's also a couple of things in St. Augustine that I know she likes. She's into the whole tie-dye shirt thing. She really likes those. So maybe I might get her that and some perfume. But at the end of the day, me, my wife, my brother, just going to spend the day with her, and I think that'll make her Mother's Day.
Nice. What about you, Tyler? What are you doing for your mom?
She may be listening now, so of course I have her gift ready to go, and it's already wrapped and everything. But no, I kind of had the idea. We had Amanda Holton from the Jaguars, and my mom loves classic rock and music from the 70s and 80s, so Steely Dan and Doobies are playing on Sunday at Daly's, and I'm not just BSing her. I honestly might take her there because she likes both bands. So And tickets are pretty cheap right now on StubHub, so if you're interested, go check them out.
Cool. That's really good insight.
Great. I'm going to take my mom to lunch, and Tyler's taking us to Steely Dan.
Well, if you guys still need some more ideas, I have a couple girlfriends that are involved with what's called the North Florida Influencers Group, and so they work with a lot of different local companies in order to find different solutions, different gift items that you could potentially get for mom. And they listed a few of them on their website, thisblondelife.com, and I'll tweet out a link to it as well. But local flower delivery from Blooming Blossom or Little Flower Bunch. And I say this is like, it's not a typical like flower arrangement like you just go to the grocery store and just get the ones that's in like the cheap plastic. Like these are beautiful flowers that are handcrafted, or not handcrafted, but handmade. They're arranged together here locally, and the way that they wrap them, it's much more presentable than, you know, say ordering from one of the big chain places. And then you're also supporting local, and they're not terribly expensive. I think they're about $30 for a bouquet, but it looks like you spent $100 on them. So if you're looking for something like that, they also have, you know, boutique jewelry from Couture Gems, Rethreaded. I don't know if you guys know about that local organization here. So if your mom cares about, you know, sort of shopping with a cause, that's another option that you could get her a gift that means a little bit extra, and it supports women globally as far as, you know, combating the sex trade. That's Rethreaded's entire mission is to combat the sex trade. But then there's also a pampering visit too, which I think that's extremely underrated, and you know, you can get them like, you know, a massage maybe, but there's blowout bars that are popping up all over town. And I don't know if you guys know what a blowout bar is, but it's essentially a way that you can blow dry your hair and the style lasts for several days instead of like going and get your hair done and it lasts for like a day.
Yeah, boy, look at my hair.
I know. I feel like you guys are pretty experienced in that regard. But
it sounds awesome though, don't get me wrong. I'm sure my wife would love it.
And then there's one more. I'll give you one more little tip that I don't know if you guys have ever seen a big pink truck that drives around town. It's a big pink fashion truck, and it's called Belle of the Boulevard. One of my close girlfriends, Holly, she runs it, and she's having a tea party on Saturday, and she's hosting it along with a Flair celebration Saturday from 2 to 5 p.m. But basically it's almost like a food truck, but it's made just for fashion clothes. So she's like a mobile boutique, can travel all around town. So she has really unique options, but she's hosting a tea party, which might be, I don't know if you guys would be interested in it, but maybe you have a sister, or maybe, you know, your mom would just want to go just experience it by herself.
I'm not interested in a tea party?
Yeah, I am.
You'd be right.
Same assumption. You know, now here's the thing though. I see a segment forming on Hacker After Dark called Ask Blythe. All right, because we go right from helmets and heels 7 to 9 into just the meatheads from 9 to midnight. I think it'll be an interesting transition. I do have a question to ask you.
Okay.
You're talking about flowers and boutiques and all that. My mother was never one for flowers, never one for cards, never one for anything like that. And that's how I grew up. She'd much rather me make her a card, she'd much rather me take her to dinner than do flowers or cards. My wife loves flowers and loves cards. So here I am growing up my entire life with a woman and my mother that just didn't like that sort of thing. Now I have my wife that loves that sort of thing, and it took me a while to figure that out. I couldn't get over how much my wife was disappointed that I didn't get her flowers all the time. But Blythe, I never had to do that for my mom, so I was kind of between a rock and a hard place.
Well, the thing with flowers, and I will kind of play both sides here, because flowers eventually die, so it feels like you're wasting money. But what happens when you get somebody flowers is that they sit in their house all day. The first thing that they come home, they smell them as soon as they walk in the door, and that immediately puts you in a good mood. And then you see them for hopefully a good week, and so you're experiencing that good smell vibe as soon as you walk into the house, and then they're just pretty to look at. So I think that people say that they don't like flowers, but I think they really do.
Yeah, so, you know, it's funny you say that, because now I've started doing that for my mother, and she'll say, oh, they're so beautiful,
right?
I really like them. I was like, wait a minute. Where was this the last 28 years when you said you never wanted flowers?
And then some people will get, I do, besides the, the handcrafted bouquets that I talked about earlier, but I'm a big proponent of flowers that are already in a pot. So I will do that for my mom a lot of times. She has a crazy obsession with orchids. She has orchids all over her back porch and all over her backyard. So what I'll do is I'll go and buy an orchid, and that orchid will last for years, and I'll hear her we had just had our Kentucky Derby party over the weekend, and I'll hear her tell other people, well, Blythe got me that, a couple years ago, and she got me this year, and so she remembers that gift, and it's sort of one of the especially if you get flowers that are in a pot, then it lasts for a much longer of a time than just a flower bunch. But both are really good, and one smells significantly better than the other one.
And just a final thought on this: if guys listen right now, whether it's for, well, I guess it'd be a different scenario. Let's say it's for mom.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the choice of one, flowers or candy?
Flowers.
If it's for your significant other?
Flowers.
Flowers or candy? Flowers for both?
Flowers for both,
okay.
In my opinion.
Right.
Because candy, personally for me, it's like, that's great, but then it just looks like something that I'm going to have to eat really fast, and then I'm going to have to deal with the calories, but the sooner that I eat it and get it out of the house, then the sooner I can get rid of it.
Bouquet of flowers or an edible arrangement?
Ooh, I do like edible arrangements, but it doesn't feel personal enough for me.
You can throw a card in there.
I guess so. Only if you write a nice message on the card. If you write a nice message, like a cry-worthy message.
You can get the card, you can get a teddy bear, you can get some
No
food
teddy
in
bear.
there.
That's
too
weird.
much.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, if it's for a significant other.
No teddy bear.
That's dating, Tyler. It doesn't happen when you're married.
So, like, Hacker, you don't have kids, obviously, but, like, so for, like, a husband, would he get his wife a Mother's Day gift?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, yeah, because that's
she's the mother to my 2 dogs.
Yeah, she birthed your children, so that deserves a present for life.
Husbands buy? I mean, I'm unfamiliar in this territory. Do husbands buy wives Mother's Day gifts?
My dad always did. But it wasn't anything extravagant. Right. It was because he saw it as this is the day the kids do stuff for you.
Yeah, it's kind of like Valentine's Day. I give my mom some chocolates on Valentine's Day, so there would stand to reason I would get my wife something on Mother's Day.
Definitely.
So, all right, yeah, I can see that.
Do you count dogs as kids?
Well,
I'm not getting into another dog discussion.
Yeah, if I don't count dogs as kids, then it's
dogs in the bed.
Yeah. See,
no.
I consider her to be the mother of my 2 dogs, so we got that.
I would argue that you do not get a Mother's Day gift for that.
Okay, well that would save me money then, so that's okay.
But maybe you should get them like a couple days before, just because she might be anticipating. If you've done it in the past, she might be anticipating.
So get her a little something just to say I love you.
And that to me goes a lot further than getting something on the actual day.
See, I like this. I'm getting advice here. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, we've finished the Mother's Day discussion. We're going to get into a little bit of Marquise Lee news and a couple more questions whenever we come back. This is Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Hello, I'm Ryan the Hacker with a message for ugly chicks. Do you ever find yourself looking in the mirror thinking, I'm screwed? Well, now you can be. For a limited time, I'm here to offer my years of expertise in the art of dragon slaying.
What?
Specifically to you.
Is this you?
You've never heard this?
No!
Breath, you are the girl for me. I know you're asking yourself, how can I afford a service?
It's like his commercial for
right now you can get my basic
making ugly chicks get laid.
That's 40 minutes of enlightened conversation, a ride to your place, and 7 minutes of unbridled passion.
The gift you should buy for all mothers, the Dragon Slayer.
What is the Dragon Slayer?
That was like Beef had me record this like 10 years ago.
At a restaurant of your choosing, as long as they serve pleasure.
And you're playing that on? Yeah, nice.
A call to your parents.
Oh, it's been played many times.
A ride to your
That's awesome.
Times a year.
Act now, ladies.
Act now, ladies.
Beef had a.
For moms everywhere.
Beef had a Beef had me record that because the running joke back when I was like 20, 21, early in the business, was that I hung out with big chicks. Big women. So they called me the Dragon Slayer. So they had me record that.
I thought that was something in reference to Kanye.
No, he's like, hey buddy, he said record this in a sexy voice. That was all one take. I did it over there back in 2007. The next day they're playing it on the Hicken and Prosser show. And it was just, I mean,
you should have known.
I know.
It's like 10 years old, isn't it?
It's probably 11 years old. 2007, I bet. Yeah. I was 22 when I did that.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Hello, I'm Ryan the Hacker with a message for ugly chicks.
Oh, Dom's back. He's watching the live stream. That's funny.
Who is?
Dom.
Oh, the Dominator? Which one? Sievert?
Yeah. Are there two Doms?
Is it the Dominator?
Yeah. I didn't think there were two. I thought there was
Dominator's
only
the
one.
man. Dominator's happy because the Capitals beat the Penguins last night.
Finally. There's, I think on Pardon My Take, PFT has to now eat horse poop because it was a bet. He didn't think that the Capitals would ever be able to beat the Penguins in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and so now I think he has to eat
Man, I just don't know if I would do that. That doesn't sound very
No, I would
good.
never even make that bet.
Right.
I remember it was after the Cavs won that video went viral of the one fan just picking up horse poop in the middle of the street and
nauseating.
eating it. What could I desperately want a Jaguars Super Bowl win, but nothing would ever compel me to do with that. And I don't know if maybe just Cleveland fans are just that championship starved.
The grossest thing I've ever seen on radio, Colin Cowherd used to call wrestling fans booger eaters. Okay? So I was on a show with Dempsey and McManus. We were afternoon show.
Oh, no.
SmackDown was here. So we were doing our show outside the arena. We put it to the test. All right, Colin Cowherd calls wrestling fans booger eaters. We had 2 tickets. First person to show up at our radio booth, pick his nose and eat it. I'll get these tickets. It took 5 minutes. Dude shows up. I almost barfed on
I
him.
could not.
I almost out of disgust gave him the 2 tickets. Like, dude, get away from me. You're gross. We gave him the 2 tickets, and I guess he went and had a great time. But he sure as heck did it.
Ugh,
Yeah, so
gross.
Colin Cowherd is correct. I've never wanted to go to an event that bad in my life that I would do something like that.
No! Take my ass home. I'll watch it on TV like everybody else.
$50
Save
for 2
my
tickets.
dignity.
Right. Well, I'm sure this guy didn't have much of that, would be my guess.
Have you guys thought about doing any kind of wrestling coverage as far as like podcasting concerned?
Country does something, but I used to. We called it Ringside Live, and I used to have like Bret Hart and Jake the Snake Roberts and all these like old school wrestlers that would come on. It was fun, and we used to actually do a radio show on Sunday nights for 2 hours as well. But I just kind of got out of it, and country likes doing it, so you know. You can have it.
I just heard a ratings report. I try to pay attention or keep on top of like what sport does well as far as ratings wise, and wrestling is killing it.
Yeah,
killing it.
Well, you know, there's on Sirius. There's a 3-hour daily show called Busted Open. It's on 9 a.m. to noon every day nationwide, every single day, Monday through Friday, and it's really successful.
And they're coming up for for sale. As far as their TV rights are concerned.
Oh yeah, and the thing
them
on,
and
on
NASCAR.
Fox.
And
if Raw moves to Fox, they're gonna put it on the network, which would be nuts. Have a 2-hour spot on the network, then which would go head to head with Monday Night Football. That's Fox's.
wow.
Thing. Yeah.
And I bet it would crush Monday Night Football.
Probably would.
Because Monday Night Football ratings are in the tank.
Yeah, it probably would.
Huh. That's just something I've never been able to get into.
Dom mentioned me on Facebook. I know he's happy about the Capitals. I know he is. Sure he's watching this. Dom, you're going down to the Lightning, though, brother. So you enjoy last night. The Lightning got something for you.
All right.
You want none of Tyler Johnson and Steven Stamkos.
Yeah, but we have the Big Ben story we could maybe get into if we have time.
Yeah. Now, is this our last segment?
Yes.
Or your last segment?
No, it's ours tonight.
Yeah. Well, until I come back on at 9 o'clock.
There is.
And if you just want to mention Hacker After Dark coming up after you.
Definitely.
Cool. Let me see what Dom said.
Yeah, we'll talk about Big Ben, and then we'll get into a little bit of Marquise Lee. Tyler, do you have a song for Peterbrook Hill?
Not yet. I can pull up one real fast.
Post Malone song. And what do they have to do? Just text in?
Yeah, I'm not gonna let Post Malone because he costs so. Back here at 15.
The Best Bet Poker Show, Wednesday nights at 6 on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
You're listening to Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes.
Presented by Underwood Jewelers and American Window Products.
On 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Coming into the final segment of the show, this is Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes. And you guys have done a really great job tonight as filling in as guest heels.
Well, I certainly hope I lived up to everything Donna and Lauren left for me. Goodness knows you probably want them back next week. But no, all kidding aside, thank you for having me in tonight. It's one of the few shows on 1010XL that I have never actually been a part of until tonight, so I enjoyed it.
Now you can cross it off the list.
I can cross it off the list.
And then you still have Hacker After Dark coming up after this, so it's a long night for you.
Yeah, well, Hacker After Dark from 9 to midnight. I'm going to hang out till about 10 o'clock or so. We're going to have David Lamb Chops is going to join us live at 9:15. Then Tyler and Andrew Gibson will have it from 10 to midnight tonight. Tyler is the utility infielder.
Seriously, burning the midnight oil.
Tyler reminds me a lot of me like 10 years ago when Dempsey would ask me to do something or Frangie would ask me to do something. Yeah, absolutely,
right.
Yeah. The word no doesn't exist with Tyler Devitt. He's like Jim Carrey in Yes Man. Do you want to do this? Yes. Do you want to do that? Yes. And to Tyler's credit, that's how you advance in this business.
Exactly.
So
that was the first tip I ever got when I got hired here. Chad Scott told me, work your butt off and never say no.
Nice.
It's exactly right, because if you say no, there's a kid at JU or a kid at UNF that will say yes.
That goes for really any kind of workplace. I can't tell you how far I've gotten in my career just by saying yes to the things that people don't want to do. Or if you see something that you want to do and somebody else is currently doing it, just watch how they do it and then learn their tips and tricks, and then you can apply it in your own career.
There's no question. That's a good movie, too. Yes Man with Jim Carrey. Really enjoyed that.
He's actually a fabulous artist, too.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Really weird guy at this point in his life.
And I think that's the only way you can make great art is if you're a really weird person.
Yeah, I saw him on Conan. I guess he surprised Jeff Daniels because Jeff Daniels was on there promoting something. They brought out Jim Carrey, the whole Dumb and Dumber thing.
Nice.
Really strange interview.
The Jim Carrey, Sarah Huckabee Sanders painting was pretty spot on.
Ooh.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen that, but I'm going to have to Google that.
Her face looks kind of horse-like, I'd say.
Ooh.
Yeah, kind of. It's not a very flattering picture.
Well, I've seen some of his work, and it really is. It's not something that you would expect from him.
He intentionally made Sarah Huckabee Sanders look terrible.
I'm going to have to check this out now. All right, well, this is the portion of the show where we give away a Peterbrook chocolate heel, and all you have to do is to guess the song that we play, and then you have to text in. What's the text line number?
The same number as the call-in, 641-1010.
See, I'm not used to this.
The song is coming up here in just a few seconds.
Okay.
I don't have it ready.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tyler doesn't have the song ready yet, but we're going to get that song ready for you and play it in just a minute. And all you have to do is you just listen to the song. If you've heard this show before, all you do is listen to the song, and then you guess it, and you text it in to the text line, and then you can possibly win a Peterbrook chocolate heel.
Peterbrook heel is a good way to go right about now with Mother's Day coming up this weekend.
I feel like most people should know this song.
Blythe, I am so musically insufficient. Frangie will always tell you I'm the worst producer he's ever had from a musical sense. I don't know really any artist. I know songs I like, but I can't tell you who sung it or what album it was on. I am horrific with stuff like that.
Now, do you listen to everything, or do you listen to just one genre?
80s, 90s country, primarily.
80s, 90s music, or 80s, 90s country?
Country and rock. Now, I am of the opinion that I like Nickelback. And I know I'm in the vast minority there as well.
They're not so bad. I think it's just more of
it's trendy.
It's trendy to hate them.
I always say the people that say they hate Nickelback are probably the ones that say they hate Blake Bortles. They can't tell you why. That's just a trendy thing to say. Nickelback has countless #1 songs, but when you say, what about Nickelback? Oh, they're terrible, this, that, or the other. Well, tell me why. And I never hear a good explanation as to why.
I did repeat chords over and over and over, and then I have like 3 in the entire
Well, who's sold more albums than them in the last 15 years? You tell me that
Drake.
and then get back to me. I can't imagine
Drake,
many people have.
Maybe Cardi B.
Nickelback, to me, is one of the most
Not
successful
really.
bands
They
of
are
all
very
time.
successful, but society is very stupid hacker. You know.
Okay, well, that's maybe, but...
Well, if you know the name of that song, go ahead and text it in. You have a chance to win a Peterbrook chocolate heel, and maybe you can use it as a Mother's Day gift, or maybe just keep it for yourself. We're not going to judge. So rounding out the final topics of the show, we're going to get into a couple more different NFL stories. And one of these stories that Lauren actually sent over, and I didn't actually watch this interview with Marquise Lee on the NFL Network, but apparently the name of the game is that he had to guess which teammate tweeted out certain things, and he got most of them wrong.
Yeah.
And Lauren made a point in our emails that she thought it was a good thing, actually, that he's not obsessed with social media. And do you think that that's sort of a good thing for Marquise Lee to be not distracted by social media, or should he be in sort of in tune?
Well, basically what happened was there's a big giant video screen. They put up tweets, and they put a question mark with like a black surface, and you had to guess what teammate it was. And the options were, I think, Telvin Smith, Leonard Fournette, D.D. Westbrook, a couple other guys. And they were saying, all right, who tweeted this out? Who tweeted that out? And Marquise Lee, for the most part, had no idea, which I don't blame him. I don't know what a lot of my friends are tweeting out these days anyway. So I thought it was fun that he didn't. He was upset that he didn't. The one thing I did take away from that, apparently D.D. Westbrook's a very good pool player, billiards. So, because there was one tweet specifically about playing pool and billiards, and he knew exactly that D.D. Westbrook had tweeted that out. So I would never challenge D.D. Westbrook to a game of billiards. Big year for Marquise Lee. You know, you want to talk about being the guy in that wide receiver room? Marquise Lee is the guy now. He's the veteran, amazingly enough. You know, with Moncrief coming in for year one, you got the youngsters in Cole, Westbrook, and now DJ Chark. So it's a big grow-up year for Marquise Lee. He got paid in the offseason. He needs to produce on the field, but Blythe, he also needs to produce in that locker room and get those kids up to speed before the season starts.
I actually think it's a great thing that he didn't know and he's not as obsessed with social media, because I think it's something that I sort of battle with myself. I know it's a necessary evil in this world, but the more I scale back on my social media, the more money I make. And I think that that sort of said it could be true for guys like Marquise Lee and even Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles, I think Leonard Fournette made a big deal about him not posting a single picture on his Instagram page until, I want to say it was the AFC Championship game, or even right before the Steelers playoff game. That was the first time he had posted a picture in close to a year. And so if these guys are not as distracted by social media or even have these accounts to begin with, I think it's ultimately a good thing.
Well, I am absolutely going to commend you, because you have cameras set up all over the place. You got social media this.
As I say that I don't do social media with two cameras on us.
Well, the thing is, though, I know about Facebook, right? And I've figured out enough about Twitter. I don't know Snapchat and Instagram and God knows what else is out there. I just figured out Twitter a year ago.
See, I love Twitter. Is probably it's been my favorite for close to a decade. But it can be really good on like the NFL draft nights, or then it can be really bad if like something controversial happens, which is essentially, you know, every single day that goes on in the world of the internet, and then you just have, you know, morons left and right that you have to deal with. That's the days that I don't even go on social media.
Well, and to your point, I almost think it's a good thing that I don't know about all these social media things. Keeps me out of trouble, keeps me focused on what I'm supposed to do that particular day. But yeah, I mean, for me, Twitter is mainly about work. I don't tweet out a lot of my thoughts that are not sports related. I'll tweet out what's coming up on shows, what's coming up on 1010XL, you know, Jaguar games. I'll be on Twitter a lot. But I don't use it as a platform to just spew nonsense unless it has obviously to do with what we do, and that's the world of sports.
Are you on Instagram?
I know what it is, but I don't have an account. No.
You're missing out on all the Instagram models. They're everywhere.
That sounds delightful.
I think the stat now is 4 in every 10 women in the United States are now Instagram models.
What?
I'm kidding.
Oh. I was about to say, how is that possible?
About to say I need to get on there then.
I mean, every girl on Instagram is now a model.
And Instagram's just like the one where you just put photos and...
Yeah, it's photos and captions, and that's... I would say my favorite social media platforms are definitely Twitter and Instagram. Instagram is something by far that I use, but Twitter is something I use more on game days than anything.
And I'll never ask this to another person at the radio station because they wouldn't know it, but I figure you would. Funny People with Adam Sandler and Seth Rogen was on HBO a couple of nights ago. And in that movie, there's like a whole segment dedicated to MySpace. All right? What happened to MySpace?
Facebook.
It just overran.
Yeah, it is such. Well, what happened with MySpace is that everybody had their own profile, but you could edit it as much as you wanted. So people were making pages that they had no business making, and then it was loaded with a bunch of graphics and photos and videos, and so it was really slow. Some of these pages were really slow loading. With Facebook, when they came out, they were more the exclusive network at first because you had to have a college email address in order to even be invited into Facebook. So I think that created an initial demand. Because with MySpace, anybody could get on it, and you weren't necessarily sure of like if so-and-so's page is going to load because they have 12 different glitter icons on it, or 50 different pictures, and you have your top 30 friends and all these different sort of plugins. It was basically like a mini website, but most people don't know how to make a damn website.
Well, I had completely forgotten about MySpace till it got brought up on this movie that came out like 10 years ago. I thought, I wonder whatever happened to that. So I guess it just couldn't compete with Facebook and what Zuckerberg was doing.
Especially with Facebook, they have you can still do a lot of customizations to your profile on Facebook, but it's more contained and it's more in a controlled environment to where each page is technically going to load within 3 to 5 seconds versus MySpace, where some of those pages they would never load, or it would take like 30 seconds to load. And in the web world, if it takes longer than 5 seconds to load on your page, especially now present day, then people are just going to click off. And so I think that's what happened with MySpace.
And I don't know about you, but talking about Mom and Mother's Day, when I try to explain some of this stuff to my mother, whether it's Twitter or Facebook Live or Instagram, whatever that is, it is like speaking German, French, or whatever, Swahili to somebody. She has not a clue what I'm talking about. She knows how to text, she knows how to post on Facebook, and she will not even try Twitter at this point. She tried it once, has retired from that, but trying to explain social media to your parents is absolutely hysterical.
I think that's the case for a lot of parents. My mom is actually really good at social media. She has an Instagram account, and she's very, very active on Facebook, and I think that's also a trend that we're starting to see with younger audiences, is that there's people are starting to become too familiar with Facebook, and so the kids are starting to move to other platforms.
Well, Blythe, I enjoyed being here with you tonight.
Well, thank you guys for filling in for Donna and Lauren. We will be back next Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. Maybe with the full group, maybe not. Who knows? This might be a new thing going on at 10:10. But my name is Blythe Brumleve, and thank you guys for tuning in. This is Helmets and Heels, built by Dreamfinders Homes on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Awesome. You guys did awesome.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Let's do this. And then close out the show.
JJ.
Thank
How
you,
was
YouTube.
it, dude?
We'll see you back here next Tuesday night. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Share it with your friends. That really, really helps us get more awareness out for the show. So thanks again, and we'll be back here next Tuesday. Go Jags.